Good evening and welcome to Northbeat. I'm Lainey Lambrink. We begin tonight in Nunavik, where one person has died after a shooting in Inukjuak almost 2 weeks ago. 2 people were injured during a shootout with police on December 20th outside a home in the community. According to Inukjuak's mayor, a man in his 30s and his 6-year-old daughter were injured. In a press release, the Kivalliq regional government says Nunavik Police Services, or NPS, responded to a call from a resident. That person said their family was in danger because of an intoxicated man. The release says NPS officers were confronted by the individual who was armed with a long rifle. There was an exchange of gunfire. The gunman was injured, and so was the child who was inside the home. Both were transported to a Montreal hospital where they received treatment. Quebec's police watchdog, BEI, has not confirmed who it was that died. It says it won't give out more information right now. At least one person was shot and killed and 3 others injured in an incident on Big Island Lake, Cree Nation in Saskatchewan today. And the 2 suspects are still on the loose. RCMP officials in Saskatoon say the suspects are armed and dangerous.
Our information is that the 2 suspects were on an ATV traveling in an unknown direction around the time of the shooting.
Officials are warning those in an area that stretches from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan to Bonnyville, Alberta, to find a safe location and lock their doors. Police have not released the name of the person who died, but Larry Wapistaquan told CBC News it's his son, Neil. Melting sea ice allowed a Canadian icebreaker to enter the world's last ice area this year. It's a startling reminder of the effects of climate change. But as Samuel Watt reports, it does allow scientists to better understand this underdocumented region.
The waters around the Queen Elizabeth Islands and western Kivalliq have long remained a mystery for scientists. They're part of what's expected to be the last stronghold of summer sea ice.
So as we have lost multi-year ice, we have increased the area of open water, and the area is now more and more navigable,
allowing a Canadian research icebreaker to enter some of those passageways for the first time ever. In September, David Babb and fellow researchers embarked on a 4-week cruise aboard the CCGS Amundsen. Fisheries and Oceans Canada says it's the first research expedition of its kind to reach the world's last ice area.
But at first we were finding really deteriorated and heavily melted sea ice.
Thankfully, they found thick ice further south, but he says what happens up in Kivalliq will affect what happens downstream in communities like Resolute Bay. Researchers also attended a science day at the Kivalliq school. They showed off some of their work and exchanged knowledge with the community. Grade 11 student Kupak Idlaut says he learned a lot.
They measured how much salt was in the water in different areas of the Nunavut region.
And he heard researchers found quite a substantial amount that can be worrying as more salt often is associated with thinner ice. David Babb says there'll be further studies in the world's last ice area.
This allows us to sort of understand what is happening in this area right now and guide projections on what is going to happen into the future.
And he's pushing for Nunavumut to be on board the next expedition. Samuel Watt, CBC News, Yellowknife.
If you think last autumn was warmer than usual, you're not alone. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says the Canadian Arctic archipelago had record temperatures this past year. Tharsha Ravi Chakravarthi breaks down the findings of the organization's 2025 Arctic Report Card.
Each year, since the first release of the Arctic Report Card in 2005, summer sea ice has reached new record lows. Today, the summer sea ice has further thinned by 28% since that first record low 20 years ago. Rick Toman is a climate specialist with the Alaska Center for Climate Assessment and Preparedness. He says warming air temperatures play a modest role in melting sea ice compared to what's happening beneath the ice. A process called Atlantification. It refers to an inflow of warmer salt water from the Atlantic Ocean, melting the Arctic sea ice from below.
It's responsible for much of the thinning of the Arctic sea ice, and in part for the loss of most of the old thick ice that used to dominate in the Arctic.
Toman says the findings of the report are all consistent with a warming climate, changing the ecosystem. He says local Inuit are the first researchers of the land. Ron Webb and his family have lived by Webb's Bay for generations. He says he witnessed winters getting shorter with more rain melting the snow once used for winter activities.
Years ago, you'd build snow houses with the snow that was fallen, but now you wouldn't even think about building a snow house because of the texture of the snow, and the thickness of the ice is a big safety issue.
Toman says strategies to respond to dangerous natural disasters are improving, with more acceptance and understanding of the storms and floods getting worse before our eyes. But is seeing believing? The question remains if observing dangerous environmental changes will motivate global solutions to climate change, informed by the foresight of scientists. For CBC News, I'm Tharsha Ravi-Chakravarti.
An Inuit-led infrastructure project is taking a step forward in Nunavut. Nunavut Corporation and Agnico Eagle Mines have signed an agreement for the proposed Kivalliq hydro fiber link. The Memorandum of Understanding sets the stage for commercial negotiations and technical collaboration on the project. It would connect several communities and mines in Nunavut's Kivalliq region to Manitoba's hydroelectric power grid and fiber optic network. Agnico says the agreement is a win-win for the territory.
So it was important for us to along with Nunavut, to formalize that we are starting commercial negotiation towards an official agreement. But it's a long process. But like I said, we've always been interested in the project. We believe it's a nation building project. It's good for the communities. It's good for our employees as well, who are community members. So it's also good for us.
Nunavut said in a statement the project aims to complete licensing by 2028. Construction and commissioning are set to finish around 2032. The company says the timeline depends on a strong federal partnership. The Canada Revenue Agency is owed $10 billion in COVID-related benefits it sent to recipients who weren't eligible to receive them. In 2022, the federal body informed those people that repayment was due. The CRA is now stepping up efforts to get the money back. The CBC's Jamie Strachan has the details.
It's an awful situation for a kid to be in.
During the worst days of the pandemic, country singer Patrick Massey, along with hundreds of thousands of Canadians, applied for COVID-19 benefits.
I would have never applied for anything that I did not qualify for.
But according to the government, Massey was not eligible for most of the CERB money he got, and now is being asked to repay nearly $30,000. He's far from alone. In fact, the Canadian Revenue Agency says it's trying to recoup nearly $10 billion in benefits paid to people later found to be ineligible.
Certainly at least a client every day, several clients a week, and it's often a very severe situation.
Insolvency trustee Blair Manton says people have a right to appeal, and in general, the CRA has been willing to work with people to reduce the amount owed, but that's changing.
In the last few months, I've seen that approach change pretty significantly. So we're certainly seeing bank account freezes now. We're seeing garnishees.
It's a scenario many saw coming.
That was the initial mistake, was the lack of due diligence at the front end, the lack of proper guardrails at the front end to protect taxpayers from a multi-billion-dollar mistake. That clearly didn't happen.
At the same time, there was pressure to get this money out quickly. Now taxpayers are on the hook for billions that may never be collected.
I don't have the money. I have no money. I live in poverty. I'm on disability. I can't afford to, and I can't afford to lose $27,000.
Manton has a warning for those who think this will go away.
Don't ignore the problem. If you owe money to the government, there's no statute of limitations. You can't wait out this type of debt.
All of it a lingering byproduct of the pandemic. Gone, but for many, impossible to escape. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Team Canada is looking to keep its winning ways at the World Junior Hockey Championships. The team is a perfect 3-0 in Minneapolis, and it's thanks in large part to a Northern star. The CBC's George Moratis is in Minneapolis covering the tournament, and he was there to witness Gavin McKenna's big game. He joins us now.
Thanks, Leanie. Yes, so far so good for Team Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championships in Minneapolis. Through 3 games, the team is undefeated, and it's thanks in large part to Yukon star Gavin McKenna. The 18-year-old from Whitehorse has put up multiple points in every game he played, and last night he scored a hat trick and was named player of the game. Speaking to reporters afterwards, he said it was pretty special to have such a big night with his family in the stands.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. To do it in front of my family too. They don't get to watch me a whole lot in person, so for them to be here in the building, that was pretty cool.
It's not just family that are in the stands to watch McKenna. Some Yukon hockey fans have made the trip to Minneapolis as well. For McKenna, this is his second time at the World Juniors, and this experience so far has been a lot different. Last year, he was used sparingly and finished with just 4 points. Through the first 3 games, he has 7 points. He spoke to reporters about what the biggest difference is between this year and last year.
I think just winning, I think. Like, obviously last year was tough bounces and stuff like that, 1-goal games that we were losing and stuff. And, you know, I think our group this year is pretty motivated, you know, no matter the circumstance. And this team's just, the way we play is like a family. So for us to win those games, it's a lot of fun.
Gavin McKenna and Team Canada face off against Finland in a New Year's Eve clash. Should Canada win that game, they will finish atop their group heading into the elimination rounds. Leanie?
That is the CBC's George Moratis. Team Canada and Finland face off tomorrow night with puck drop at 6:30 local time. As George said, a win there and Canada finishes atop their group. McKenna is one of hockey's top young prospects. He's projected as the top pick in next year's NHL draft. He's a member of the Trondek-Wichin First Nation, and his success on the ice is already having an impact on youth in the Yukon. Now playing college hockey at Penn State, he remains closely connected to his community. Here's a featured documentary prepared by CBC Sports.
I want to go first overall. That's always in the back of my head. Hopefully that all the sacrifices I've made and my family's made can one day pay off and that be the reality.
1-1 shorthanded with speed. McKenna, what a move! Gavin McKenna, mastery from Gavin McKenna! Wizardry from the Whitehorse Wizard.
After that game, I don't think I've ever had as much attention on just a single goal in my life, so it was pretty crazy. The night after, I scored the Michigan, so it was a pretty cool week.
McKenna, Michigan attempt, and he scores! Again, this kid is absolutely insane.
There's been a few moments already at a very early age where he's captured our attention with just that singular moment, that singular play on the ice. It's hard to envision a scenario where Gavin McKenna isn't the first overall pick next year. He's a trailblazer in and of himself as a hockey player, as a first out of the Yukon, as a first out of Whitehorse at this level to reach this stage. And then on top of that, there's the college hockey significance of what this all means, and Gavin being the first player in this post-CHL commitment era where CHL players are now eligible to play college hockey at the highest level. He is the marquee of that.
At first, you know, we were like, no, he's staying in the CHL. Like, why would we leave? You know, the safe thing to do would have been to stay in Medicine Hat, get a whole bunch of points. But kudos to him for, you know, stepping out of his comfort zone and taking that challenge on, because there is some risk to it.
This sort of advent of NIL money, which provides money to players, to student athletes, for the use of their name, image, and likeness. He now sort of reframes the potential path for a lot of these top prospects into the NHL.
With the rule change, it's obviously a big decision to be kind of the first big name to make that decision, and I don't know why, I just had a gut feeling that Penn State was going to be the spot for me. That was kind of where I wanted to go after seeing what they did at the Frozen Four. I didn't want to go to a team who wouldn't be in the running, so it's kind of a do or die mentality for them getting that far, and being able to win a national championship would be pretty special, especially at Penn State.
Do you have an idea of what kind of courses you'd like to take?
Yeah, there's a fly fishing course that they were talking about there, so that would be cool. Go fishing twice a week. You know, around the house when I was a little kid, barely able to walk, I would, you know, have a stick in my hand. I'd try and fall asleep with hockey gloves on and stuff, and I just love the sport. My family just raised me into it, so yeah, I can't remember a time without hockey.
Going to bed, he always had something hockey related with him. He would put a puck beside his head. He would always try to wear his helmet. And I wouldn't usually let him wear a helmet, but then he would put on like a toque, and that he would pretend it was a helmet. Same thing with hockey gloves. He'd want to sleep with his hockey gloves, and if I wouldn't let him, then he would go and he'd find a mitten. He'd put on a mitten, and he'd pretend it was a hockey glove.
Yeah. When we bought our house, we were like, the backyard needs to be, you know, flat so that, you know, he can have a rink in it. And so we were thinking about that pretty much before he was even born. Honestly, when you think about it, like, that was the plan, right? That we'd give him every opportunity to really, you know, become a really good hockey player. So,
as long as I can remember here, we had the outdoor rink every single year. My dad would spend hours building a rink, and I'd want to repay him by spending hours out there, putting it to use. Those were probably my favorite memories growing up, is just being on the outdoor rink with him. I think that's really where I developed my game.
How long did you guys know each other for?
I don't know, probably
6, 7 years old?
Maybe? Yeah, I'd probably have been 7 or 8. So away from the rink, he's just a guy. He likes to have fun and stuff like that. We go fishing and golfing all the time. So, you know, he's just a kid at heart, I guess. Really.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Getting home, that's what I love. Getting away from the game, it's kind of like a mental reset, honestly. Just getting away from the world, honestly. It's what my family loves, and it's what I love. I know, this is what everyone comes here for.
Yeah.
There's the airport landing strip, and then to the left of that's downtown. I love it here. Yeah. I want to get like a property out here somewhere on a lake and get like a cabin one day.
He understands what he means to the city of Whitehorse and Yukon as a whole, really. He gets it. It's important for them, for him to give back, both just to Whitehorse, but also to their First Nation, to the Yukon as a whole. I think, you know, it's a lot for a kid to carry, but he does it very well.
All right, here. Yeah, so Grandma made this. Here she put a wolf because we're part of the wolf clan. I know she spent a lot of time and hours in this, so when I got to wear it at World Juniors, I was obviously super proud of it, and yeah, it's something that means a lot to me and my family. It was kind of a surprise for her that I was going to be wearing that, and for me to represent being Indigenous like that on such a big stage, I knew it meant a lot for my family. Especially my grandpa. He's been through a lot in his life. He went to residential school for a few years, and for the world to kind of know some of his stories, I think that would mean a lot.
My dad didn't have the easiest life, so I didn't know a whole lot about that until I became an adult, and I started to hear some of the stories and things, and they're super hard to hear. And now that my kids are getting older, now they can, they're learning about some of those stories, and not just stories of my dad, but also his friends, his cousins, people that he's known.
He's one of my big motivators as well, to see how far he's come with the way he grew up and what he's been through. It pushes me every day. My sister's kind of putting the camp together, so I know she's put a lot of work into this camp, and I know me being there for her and the kids means a lot, so hopefully put a smile on their face and stuff.
Gavin doing what he does, the gesture of it without the words I think is big. It's even bigger. It just shows he's willing to carry who he is at heart for everybody to see. And I think that it goes beyond anything you could say. It's not something that we feel we have to wear in our sleeves. He is who he is, and he just does what he thinks is right.
He's breaking barriers, and the fact that he has the confidence and the pride and the understanding, and we've been gifted certain things, and the fact that he's changed the narrative at the highest level.
Hey guys, my name's Gavin McKenna. I'm a Tronic-Quechin First Nation out of Dawson City. I was born and raised in Whitehorse though. The people who inspired me to play hockey were probably my parents. My whole family just kind of grew up into hockey. My mom over there, grandpa, they all play hockey, so just kind of grew up into the sport.
Did you ever think there'd be an Indigenous first overall pick in the NHL draft?
You don't think along those lines. You think that you want representation. He represented our country as an under 18. He'll represent as an under 20. I'm sure he's going to represent as an Olympian and as a world championship player. But he's also representing his people, and that's something that the way he cares about, that's never going to be lost.
I'm very proud of being Indigenous and the community we have, and honestly, everything our ancestors have gone through. I think it's a lot, and I just want to make sure that people are not forgetting, and no matter who you are, where you come from, you can do whatever you want. That's just kind of what I want to do, is make kids believe in themselves, no matter who they are. How's it going, Jack? That's good.
When you see someone who you can touch and feel and you can see right in front of you, that's inspiring, and it's been inspiring for him. Okay, all right, well, this is the shrine. Jack's got a little bit of everything. That's signed Gavin McKenna jersey from Medicine Hat that we ordered the minute that was official. And then this is his first jersey. We bought him for Christmas one year, I think. And you can see it's no longer white because he's just done nothing but wear that outside and year over year. He loves nothing more than to be on the outdoor rink pretending to be Gavin McKenna. Me and Willie have talked a lot about how young Gavin had to be to leave town. Like, he was 12 years old. Part of the bigger picture is, how can we make that not an issue for kids in the north? How can we provide facilities, training, opportunities where they can spend more time here? It kind of started with myself, Peter Johnson and Willie McKenna about probably a year ago, just talking about, we need a facility. What can this look like? Like, what should this look like? If we had a blank slate and could build something, what would that look like?
The more that we can just put more investment into youth, and facilities is a part of that equation. Safe places where our kids can hang out, but also to get the best. And I think Yukon deserves the best.
We went from just having a handful of females enrolled to now we've got rep teams at the U11, U13, U15, U18 level. We're starting to run out of ice here, and that's becoming a thing.
It's tough, especially in the summers when you don't have that ice to use, and I think that's why the rink would be so huge. It could help women's sports, men's sports. It'd be huge for everyone, honestly. I'm fingers crossed that we can get the support and stuff to make it happen.
So I guess a perfect year for you would be World Junior Gold, Penn State National Championship,
Yep.
first overall.
Yep.
Rink is built in Whitehorse.
That would be a good year, yeah. Yeah.
From hockey in the Yukon to a lack of hockey in one Northwest Territories community. It's been nearly a decade since the arena in Fort Good Hope closed. It's unclear when it will reopen, but what is certain, the loss has been painful for residents. Many still recall what it was like playing hockey in the community's indoor rink.
It's terrible. You got nothing to pass on to kids. It's something that's really enjoyable, and it shows you, it gives you a different perspective. Hockey brings you right into everyday life.
Fort Good Hope's arena sits essentially abandoned. That's how the chief describes it. Sean Granjam says he wants more than just a new rink.
I wouldn't mind for the community to have a sportsplex, like a multiplex. It'll be our own, like skating rink, curling rink, like a school gym in there, stuff like that.
Granjam says the facility would help create jobs in his community. The cost for that project isn't clear. In an email to CBC News, the territorial government says the community receives annual funding. None of that is specific to an arena. That is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/north. Thanks for watching. I'm Leanie Lambrink. Have a good night.